Hello, friends. This one I'm making in English is going to be about some Ascension symptoms. I already made one video in Hindi, partly regarding this topic, but I wanted to expand a little bit more on this topic. Right now, we are going to be celebrating the festival of Diwali, where Hindus around the world usually light candles or incense sticks, agarbattis, or they light different lanterns with either fire or some artificial lighting. It's almost similar to Christmas for Hindus, where they light up their homes using similar kinds of Christmas lighting. Or they'll do prayers at home and in the evenings to invite the goddess of abundance and wealth. Hindus will also be lighting small earthen diyas or earthen lamps around their homes, or even candles if they don't have any of these where they live. I enjoyed Diwali since childhood, and I used to love lighting candles in our balconies when we were young. We would just put 10 20 candles in our balconies, or in front of our doorstep, we would light some diyas or candles. And that was the funnest thing for me to do for many years when I was growing up. I didn't usually like the noisy bombs that are burst in India, but I used to enjoy all the other firecrackers like fulguris and chakras and flower pots and anar, and even the ones that are lit in the sky, the rockets. All of them were really fun to watch because I love the sparkle that comes up when we light these firecrackers. And more than the sound, the lighting of it was what was magical for me. But when I went to US, because of pollution laws and other things related to the city that I lived in, I hardly celebrated Diwali. And then I was very because my mom was not alive, and none of the female family members in my family were in touch with me. Or occasionally, once or twice a year, I would catch up with relatives. But if parents are alive, or if some female member who does a lot of these pujas is alive, they will call you and tell you do this, do that. But my family life was never like that. So as a result, when I was in US, there was hardly anyone reminding me like today is Diwali or today is Durga Puja or any of the other Bengali festivals. So sometimes I would remember to celebrate Diwali, but many a times over my 13 years in US, I kind of forgot about Diwali and wouldn't even celebrate it. Like there have been years I didn't celebrate Diwali. I don't even know what I did. I was likely working during those days. But the days that I did manage to celebrate it, because of the safety laws and because the housing that we used to live in US, and I have lived in many different kinds of housing, most of them have some wooden structural elements. And because of that, and because of pollution laws, you have those fire alarms inside your house, so people don't usually light the diyas and candles and agarbattis in their homes. And very rarely in my life in US have I really lit any candles or agarbattis. Like maybe out of those 13 years, 3 or 4 times I've lit a candle inside the house for Diwali. Most of the time, the Diwali celebrations used to include either eating outside with friends or preparing something at home, like making some sweets for friends. And sometimes I would go to the temple. So when I did go to the temple in the initial years, because I didn't have a car, and I don't know what was happening in the Indian temple there. But in the later years, when I did have a car and I felt like going to the temple during Diwali, 2 times when I went, I really loved the way they had organized the festival there. What they had done, and there were like in that city and state, or even in the nearby states, there were enough Indians who would attend the festival, and there were about thousands of Indians who attended the festival in 2 of the years that I went. And what they had managed to do, they got permission from the local government to celebrate Diwali in a way that was similar to how Americans celebrated their Independence Day. So in America, to celebrate their Independence Day in 4th of July, usually firecrackers are burst for 15 minutes and in different parts of the city and in different parks of the city. So that way, at least like in the same, I don't know, the area range of Salt Lake City, but within Salt Lake City area and Salt Lake City County, I had at least seen 3-4 firework displays over the different years that I have lived there. And those firework displays were a communal display that everyone gets to enjoy. Anyone who wants to watch it comes to the parks their cars near the parks, and just watches the fireworks display either from inside the park or in a place a few meters away from the park. And you end up getting that festive feeling of watching the fireworks without having any fire hazards happening to you while you're lighting the fires, and you get to enjoy the magic of it without really polluting as much, because for thousands, 2,000 population people, one area is bursting the fireworks. So likewise, I feel that kind of a system should start getting executed in India, because the air pollution levels in India are quite high currently. And not just in India, any densely populated country that celebrates Diwali and wants to celebrate the magic of it, there are many other socially responsible ways of celebrating this magic. And another way, like today I was just saying, like I ordered something from Big Basket, and with the Big Basket orders, they are currently sending everyone a brochure with some Diwali offerings. Now in that brochure itself, they have a beautiful Diya's picture in it. And I found the brochure practically like useless, because I felt it's just adding to more pollution by just sending me something that could have been sent to me via email or instead of a paper voucher. If a print email voucher was sent to me, that would have been just as well. Or if people get some offers on their app itself, they don't really need a brochure to look through. So I found it partly a useless venture. And these kind of marketing strategies also need to change in the world. With the modern electronic lifestyle that we lead, none of us really needs this paper garbage in our homes. And we will reduce the cost of printing, we will reduce the cost of wasted materials that are used for printing. So it reduces the earth pollution if these kind of measures are undertaken. But what I found beautiful about this brochure was the beautiful Diya picture on it. And that Diya picture also is as sufficient to anyone who wants to just enjoy a bit of light in their life. Because if you have light within you, if you have beautiful, warm, heartwarming family and friends group with whom you can celebrate the festival, do you really need the sound of crackers or sparkly lights outside constantly for 3-4 days? Or do you just need it for just for the sake of honoring those childhood memories? Even 5 minutes of lighting a candle or 5 minutes of lighting a diya is sufficient for anyone to get back that magical energy of our childhood memories, right? And even this picture of a diya, I felt was enough for me. Like I'm thinking right now, like in Diwali, instead of putting candles everywhere, maybe I should just put a sticker of this candle diya around the house somewhere, because that image of a burning fire. I really love fire, by the way, and I love looking at fire. Like anytime any of my cousins have had their weddings, or some friends have had pujas in their house, I love those ceremonies, especially because I love looking at the fire. Whenever I look at fire and the way it forms its shapes and the colors in it and everything, looking at it is mesmerizing for me, and it also gives positive energy, but that same energy of that fire is equally accessible to us if we look at an image of a fiery display, or if you look at someone else's video of a fiery party that they are celebrating, or like in this festival celebration that I was talking about, that I used to attend, and that was almost like a 10 years old incidence. But in those festivals, what they did, they allowed the city of Salt Lake City allowed us to do the Indian temple, to do this fireworks display of 15 minutes, similar to a 4th of July display. So anyone living in the vicinity of the temple and who was visiting the temple for the festival was able to see this beautiful display for 15 minutes, which reminds us of our childhood memories in India. And because most of us who were celebrating the festival there were Indians who are originally from India. And then some of the kids who were there in the festival, they were allowed to light one fulchari. What is fulchari called? The sparkling sticks. So because of that, all of us, and seeing a child enjoy that first sparkling memory of a sparkler is more than enough to bring the memory of myself doing that when I was a kid. I, in fact, sometimes used to get scared also of those sparklers, because the fire sparks from it sometimes would come and burn our hands and fingers slightly. So for me, it was a win-win. I get to see the sparkles while a child is doing that, and it's less air pollution, because instead of thousands of Indians taking thousands of sparklers or other, fiery firecrackers and burning them and creating this air pollution in that area, only 10-20 people, or maybe maximum 100 kids were involved in this 10-15 minutes of activity. And because they had restricted the activity of burning these firecrackers also for around a 10 to 15 minutes span, so I felt that was really a very socially responsible way of celebrating the festival. I know most Indians are still not ready likely to do this. And there is a second element as well, that if every Indian suddenly stops celebrating Diwali, it will bring down the whole firecracker industry, and many people are dependent on the Diwali sales for their livelihood. So it is necessary that in order to shift the trend in India, or even other countries like India, when Diwali is very importantly celebrated and all these Diwali sales are dependent on economics of many different businesses, it is important that we slowly start scaling down, at least, if not suddenly stop doing it. I had to suddenly stop doing it because first in US that was the law, so we just followed the law there. But likewise, if in any other country or any other particular place, if the city has been seeing a lot of deaths due to Diwali pollution, or if you are seeing in your family some deaths happening because of respiratory tract illnesses, or severe hospitalizations happen due to respiratory tract illnesses, it is up to you to become socially responsible enough to do something for yourself or your family or anyone else whom you have seen suffer as a result of a respiratory illness. And then the other aspect to this is that our bodies also, those people who have been celebrating, I wasn't celebrating Diwali for 13 years. Then I came back to India. And again in India, my family isn't also the kind who used to buy a lot of firecrackers since childhood days. So we would buy a little bit. We would, same thing, like when in childhood, there are some families who would be bursting crackers for 1 hour or 2 hours or all 3-4 days of Diwali. Our family would do it only 1 or 2 days for 5-10 minutes. And and we would just enjoy it with rest of our friends who would also do it for 5-10 days. So we were the minimalistic family as it is when we were growing up. And then when going to US, after seeing even another form of minimalistic way of celebrating this festival, which by then become for me more about sharing time with family than about praying to goddess Lakshmi or Kali that Bengalis do during Diwali time. But when I came back to India and I was getting into spirituality, I did start to pray a little bit more often, and all the years of not celebrating Diwali came up for me. So in my initial years when I was staying in India, I started lighting diyas for 2 or 3 days of the Diwali festival. So that's how it began. And at that time, though, I also was thinking of what to do about those leftover oil that is there once we make some Diwali preparation, and a lot of oil is left over after frying some food and all. So on some of those festival times, I've also used some of the like I started practicing this ritual, like, one night at least of that Diwali, I will continuously pour oil on the diya and let it burn. So after a few hours of pouring fresh oil, I thought, why not use the leftover oil, because that way that leftover oil will not just go down the sink, because India doesn't have even good policies about oil related pollution of water and things like that. So and I didn't feel like throwing the oil away, but I know that oil is unhealthy as a pharmacist. So reusing that oil is also not healthy for us. So I had reused it instead for these late night diya burning. But even that, when after a few years of doing that, 1 year when I had been burning agarbattis regularly for daily for some evening puja, as well as for the fact that there was a lot of mosquitoes around the area where I lived, and I wanted a natural way of preventing the mosquitoes from entering the rooms. So I had kept agarbatti in each of the rooms to prevent, like, the smoke from the incense sticks were enough to prevent the mosquitoes from entering in the evenings. So that way I felt I was doing a natural way of instead of putting on a mosquito repellent, which had started causing breathing problems and headaches for me, I started doing the incense stick method. But even the incense sticks in every room started giving me headaches, and over time I realized they were also causing breathing problems and causing drowsiness for me, because they had heavy amounts of chemicals in them that are artificially created. They're not natural scents, and even though I was buying like a natural scented sandalwood agarbatti, and I didn't used to buy anything else other than sandalwood, because most of the other flower scents would give me even worse headaches. So sandalwood was the only one, or there was like a masala scented one. That those are the two I used to buy. But even those started becoming toxic for my lungs. And this, I believe, is one Ascension symptom that many people who are slowly elevating to a different way of living might experience as well. My experience I'm talking about is from a few years back, and ever since then I actually stopped burning incense sticks completely, after I realized like how badly it had impacted my lung functions and brain functions. And after stopping the incense sticks, 3 years since then, only once or twice I might have lit some incense stick, and that too only for, like, I don't even nowadays burn incense sticks for the whole an incense stick might take like an hour to burn down. I will only burn it for 5 minutes and stop it after that, because otherwise I feel it causes a lot of air pollution and lung pollution and body health problems. And same way with the diya. Last year when the Diwali was there, I only burnt one diya for a few minutes, and this year too I bought only some camphor pellets, and I've decided that if I do burn something, I'm just going to burn that camphor pellet for whatever duration it will burn. And in that also, what I have realized with the pellet that I bought this year versus one I had bought a few years back from a different company, is that this one has had some naphthalene like smell to it, and which makes this burn a little longer and is not the pure camphor, so it's not as good for our lungs as a pure camphor pellet would have been. Because when I've burnt pure camphor pellets in the past, they are really refreshing for us to smell. This camphor is also used in some of these Vicks inhaler type inhalational those rubs or vapor rub or inhaler keychain that we get in India. And because camphor helps in clearing up the nostrils a little bit. Of course, long term use of these things are not good for us. There is a rebound effect also that can happen to anyone. So, none of these inhalers or even burning of camphor should be done regularly. But for Diwali function purposes, if anyone is lighting a candle, if anyone is thinking of lighting agarbattis or diyas, I would suggest, like, if you have in the past done burning of 10 diyas, reduce it to one, because that will help in reducing the air pollution in your neighborhood. If you had, or replace it with anything that you find more compatible with your way of celebrating the festival, but slowly start thinking about reflecting on things that are impacting the health of you and your family or people around you, because everyone is ascending right now. Everyone is ascending to a different way of living, a better way of living. And if you figure out what is impacting your health and your family's health or even your neighborhood's health, then it makes it easier to manage this earth pollution that's happens during festival times or even during normal days, when someone is celebrating something out of a ritualistic need to do it. Because this is what I have realized about many Indian festival chants and customs. They are actually beautiful, and they had a logical basis behind them when we used to do it in the past. But in the present, every kind of thing that is burnt during festivals and prayers are contaminated. If it was pure ghee that we were using, or pure camphor, or pure incense sticks, or pure chemical free and pesticide free and fungicide free spices that people would burn while doing pujas and havans and prayers, then, or even the scented candles, if they had pure organic and chemical free oil in them, then burning them would be beneficial, in fact, and help us relieve headaches, help us feel beautiful, because they are high vibrational things that can be burnt. But over the decades of our life, of our existence, many things have been done on the planet Earth which have reduced the quality of the chemicals, like the natural chemicals that are inside. Say, if you're burning eucalyptus oil, or if you're burning peppermint oil, or if you are burning sandalwood incense sticks, or you are burning a sandalwood scented candle, all of them don't really have the natural chemical that these plants have, that were the beneficial parts of these plants that humans had found to be beneficial, and hence had extracted them into and made them into beautiful candles or incense sticks or aromatic oils to be burned in the past. But what has happened, in the need for greed, or in the need for making more money, or in the need for industrializing certain things, and in the need for more and more quantity, what has happened is the plants that are grown to give us these beautiful oils that will then in turn make the scents for our candles or our diyas, or our the oils for our diya, or the scent for our incense stick. All of these oils that are extracted from plants. Now, if the plants aren't grown in the right organic way, pesticide free, chemical free, fungicide free way, or if those sticks and candles or even the oils are stored in containers that are absorbing all the air pollution from the environment, eventually all the chemical toxins that these materials have been exposed to will go into the candle that you're burning, will be there in the incense stick that you're burning. And in reducing the cost, like if a natural peppermint oil say costs like 100 rupees or something, the artificial one costs them 50 rupees, so they end up buying the artificial one to scent a candle or scent a incense stick, which for the marketeer of these products, yes, it is cheaper, but for the end user of these products, it has a long term health consequence, which people also don't realize unless they are been using mass quantities of this. And which is what happens during Diwali season, when mass quantities of these toxic products are being used by everyone and raising the air pollution levels, which in turn raises and shows us then when the deaths happen after Diwali in people who have had toxic poisoning happening from all these air pollution. It's because of the additive effects of all the firecrackers and candles and diyas and other things that were burnt during Diwali, along with other air pollution things that are anyways going on in Indian homes normally, like people driving vehicles which don't have good air pollution check done on them. People in India, they go and get the certificates, but without bothering to actually, and I have also done that, like, and I didn't know what is the way out, because when I went and did the pollution under check certification for a car, they gave me the certificate without even checking actually whether my car is functioning properly. And I understand my car was a relatively new car, so it doesn't need the pollution check at that point. But there are so many other cars and vehicles on the roads they don't have the pollution measures done on them, and you can smell all the bad exhaust fumes that are coming from those cars and impacting our health. So everything related to our health is in our hands. And if in Diwali people are praying for prosperity and abundance, if you don't have health, how are you going to attract wealth in your life? So health has to be the primary priority during any kind of festival. Not just your health, everyone else's health around you has to be a priority. And people who are doing mindless activities, eventually they will get the karma of it, because people should know karma is actually real, and karma is not a revenge by God to anyone. Karma is just a net result of our karam. Karam meaning what we do. So what we are doing, if we are acting on things that cause earth pollution, then earth pollution will come back to us. Nowhere is the air going to go. Air will keep circulating around the atmosphere of the earth and eventually come to us. How much ever you try to dispel the air, like say I'm burning something and doing a havan or a puja, and there is a mass amount of air that gathers when the fire is burning. Now if that air is pure, my lungs will be thankful for it. When it's not pure, what most of us will be doing, we'll be doing like this to make sure that we get some pure oxygen while some puja is going on. But is that a better way of leading life, or is it better that you use products that are clean and green and good for your health? Or if you can't find any products in the market that are clean, green and good for your health while doing the prayers, will God be more thankful if you do not use harmful products, or will God be more thankful if you keep adding to the earth pollution? Think about it. God, you are trying to do a prayer to help God send us some positive things in our life. You're praying to God like, please send us this, please send us that, please keep my family blessed and wealthy and abundant. So you're praying to God for abundance and wealth of your family, and you are also, Indians think like it's a way of appeasing God. But whichever god exists in this universe and controls this universe, are they going to be more happier and appeased when you're doing things that are more aligned with god's natural ways, or are they going to be appeased by humans doing things that are unnatural? Because when something is causing people to fall sick, that is unnatural. Sickness is not what God created. Sickness is what humanity has created by their own actions, and many humans do not understand this. Ageism is also not something God created. There are, if you believe in Hinduism, then you must believe some of the things that Hinduism's Puranas and scriptures are talking about, because they do talk about the fact that there were humans earlier, or even some of the gods, they lived thousands of years. How are gods and some humans able to live hundreds or thousands of years? There is a scientific reasoning for that, and that scientific reasoning humans will only be able to discover if they do the scientific, natural, life aligned things in their life. And studies have already shown, like in countries like Japan, or even in Pakistan, or pockets of countries like these, some people have, and even in US, people who are practicing the natural aligned to life ways of life and leading life, they end up living longer than the people who don't align themselves to the natural way of life. So there's a reason, there's a very scientific reason for people to be living over 100 of years of age versus those who don't live till hundreds of years. So there are already enough evidence to show how one can lead a life that can extend their life beyond 100 years. And a good quality life, not a life which is derived of good quality and meaning, because there's also, you can take artificial ventilation and things like that and extend your life as well, but that is not a good quality life if you are under artificial conditions, breathing in ventilators in hospitals. That can extend, that way also someone can extend in their 90s, get hospitalized and extend their life and live till 105 years or whatever. If they are rich enough, they can do that. But extending your life by living in a hospital for 5-10 years and using machines to extend it is not a natural aligned way of leading life, and most of us can't even afford to do that. But what everyone can afford to do that is within in their own hands, in the practices they do in sustaining their life as well as sustaining others' life. Because when you're aiding and sustaining someone else's life, you end up getting the karma of it, and it adds to your karma and your lifespan and quality of lifespan as well. And apart from the fire related lighting that people use, even LED lights have some harm in our body, which those people who have thyroid problems, or those people who have started to experience extreme dryness in their face, because I've seen many Ascensioners videos, people who are creating these posts to teach about Ascension on higher vibrational way of living to us. I've seen many of those people going through this problem where their skins have turned dry, their lips are dried out, or they have a lot of redness in their cheeks. And this is, they are sweating, but not exactly sweating, because these people are not drinking enough water for the phase of ascension that they are going through. One thing is that either they are not drinking adequate water for their body. Second thing is they are living in places where a lot of radioactivity is going on, and this data is not revealed to them, but their body is revealing this via the dried lips, the redness in their faces, the dry, scaly skin, scalp conditions they might be having. And these are also part of Ascension symptoms. But what does Ascension mean? Ascension means we are moving to a higher vibrational way of living and being, and the whole of earth is moving to this higher vibration way of living and being. But in order to move to a higher vibrational level, one has to first understand also what are the low vibrational things existing in our daily lives. Those who are teaching now online about ascension and awakening and other things that they have awakened to, they're teaching about some aspect of ascension. And those who have got these channel messages, they also know about these parts where they have understood what are the ascension symptoms. But now the next stage of ascension is to understand why those symptoms are happening to us. And for most of us who are getting these dried lips, I also have this dried lips because the water in this area is polluted. I'm not able to drink enough of the water that I used to drink. Like earlier, when I was not aware and not in that stage of ascension, I used to counteract this dryness by drinking like 2.5 to 3 liters of water, and that would help in keeping me hydrated and beautiful. But nowadays, because of water, my level of awareness has started understanding that the water in our society is not great, and not just the water in our society, the water in this whole locality is polluted due to various reasons. And being a pharmacist and a pharmacy student and a healthcare student, I've already analyzed what are the reasons. There is enough data in scientific literature to actually point towards what is the root cause of each of these health issues. Now, the only problem is getting people to awaken first that you are undergoing a health issue as a result of the conditions present in the air, water, and food of your locality, which is the problem in India where I live, that food, water, and air, all three are polluted. Earth is polluted as well. And if humans don't stop the activities that are leading to earth, water, air, food pollution, there is a direct impact, the direct karma of all these hundreds of years of activities that humans living in these areas of earth have done impacts us immediately. Because even if I haven't contributed to any earth pollution directly, which I know I have, but say there was a newborn baby, a 1 year old or 1 month old baby who was born right now, who has not contributed to any earth pollution when it was born, but even that baby has to suffer the consequences of the earth pollution that has been going on by the people who live in the neighborhood that the baby lives. Because there is no escaping the earth pollution consequences. It's always present right now because of the decades of activities that have been going on earth. So but once we get and awaken to the fact that our health, the dryness in our mouth or lips and cheeks and scalp, or skin irritation or skin redness, and any other ascension symptom that happens to us, once we awaken as to why it is happening to us, then the next stage of ascension is to eliminate and reduce it in use in your own life, and to change to the higher vibrational way of living that will ensure that you are not contributing to the earth pollution, at least, or even if you are contributing it to it, try to reduce the contributory effects on earth pollution, because that's the best we can do given the circumstances of our lives. And of course, if anyone has social influence, social media influence, then it is very necessary that they start awakening others to the things that are wrong in their air, water, and earth and food. Because if you have the awareness, you have to give the awareness to others. And if others aren't aware, how will you reduce the earth pollution? And if earth pollution isn't reduced, how will you lead a healthy life or a higher vibrational life? Higher vibrational life doesn't just mean having higher vibration in thoughts. It's in higher vibrational living, higher vibrational physical state of being, higher vibrational taking care of our health, higher vibrational taking care of our emotions. It's increasing our vibration to a level of existence that improves the quality of life in all aspects of living. And it's just that each of us are awakening to different aspects of high vibrational living, and then we have to teach each other to this better way of living, to move earth and everyone on earth to a better paradigm of existence. So I hope this video made sense. And yes, so what I was talking about, this dryness of skin and all, and why is it related to Diwali now, is because LED lights or artificial lighting and sunlight in some areas where a lot of radioactivity and a lot of nuclear power plants are there, both are harmful to our skin and our body, because of which these kind of symptoms are manifesting in ascensioners, people who are actually, who have done enough of the physical, mental, emotional clearing to become these empty vessels, who are starting to show up these ascension symptoms first, which doesn't mean that the rest of humanity is not showing it. It's just that the rest of humanity are not yet aware of how the radioactivity in the places they live is causing some problem, or people aren't aware, and they are microscopic, probably microscopic levels of radioactivity. That's why it's not yet detected, but your skins are starting to detect it. Or it is the LED lighting, the artificial lighting, and these LED lights that will be used in Diwali for, for decorating the streets or our homes. Even the lighting in those are harmful to us and can damage some of the harm starts first in the thyroid organs, because radiation primarily right now is impacting the thyroid organ of many people, because there are 3 levels of radiation that can impact us. One is the radiation from our phones, one is the radiation from these LED lights and artificial fluorescent lights, and third is the radiation outside, which is happening from any nuclear power reactors that might be around us. And what is the way to solve these 3 problems? The one related to the nuclear power reactor has to be a global societal change in using electricity and finding better methods of better choices for electrical sources, and becoming wiser in the way we use electricity. The one related to LED lights is reduce your exposure to LED lights, because I had to do that. I have a thyroid nodule that was there in my thyroid gland when I was in US, almost detected 10-12 years back. Those nodules had transferred into lesions now in my recent report, and not just transferred into benign lesions, but they were causing aches and pains, and I had a precancerous like condition happening with my body. And I realized long-term exposure to LED lights inside the homes were causing and adding to my health impact. So that's why I'm making this video right now, though I'm in a room which doesn't get adequate sunlight, and I'm doing this video in the daytime, and you can see there's hardly any light. I can open this window a little bit more, and this is the maximum level of lighting that I get in this room. But when I was doing some writing activities, painting and typing activities, I need to turn on a LED light in this room to do this work in the daytime. So what are my options? Right now, because those lighting cause skin sensitivity to me, and my skin starts getting inflamed and starts burning, and I feel really hot. And then when I feel really hot, I feel like turning on the AC. But then that adds to the global warming and earth pollution aspects. So because of that, if I don't wish to turn on the AC, my solution is to keep the lights off. And while I keep the lights off, at least my skin doesn't burn as much when I'm in a more diseased state. And the third option would be for me to live in a housing where natural sunlight is there, that I don't have to turn on the lights so much for doing regular activities at home. So that is the way to reduce my thyroid problems has been, and the skin sensitivity related problems that I have been experiencing. one solution for me has been to reduce my hours of exposure to LED lights. Otherwise, when my this nodule had converted into lesions, and I was going through an extreme thyroid storm phase a few years back. At the time, before the thyroid storm phase had happened, I had been keeping the LED lights on for like almost 20 hours a day, and so those 20 hours of exposure had finally impacted my thyroid issues and the thyroid health. And my thyroid gland is not impacted, but those lesions are there. And if a lesion doesn't heal, then it can eventually over the years turn into cancer. Or if the lesion keeps getting exposed to toxins, it will worsen in condition. So, and likewise, and which I feel via the pain, via the skin problems and other problems. And then the third cause of radiation is our phone, which I have realized for my Android phone. If I don't keep the phone over 60-70% of battery life, and if whenever it goes below the 50% limits, sometimes my ears start hurting while talking to someone on the phone, or when I'm listening to a video on YouTube or any other online video that I watch. Then the frequency of sound changes, which also and gets distorted as a result of higher radiation emitting from the phone itself. And frequencies can also impact are indicative of the quality of things that you're listening to. And and this video about frequency and sound, because I'm not a sound engineer, I'll have to think a little bit to talk about this topic, so I'll talk about it in my next video. But until then, these are the few things I would like you to take away from this video. One, see if you can reduce the LED lighting in your regular daily life use, and also LED lighting during Diwali use. Please see if you can reduce it a little bit. Then related to any kind of fiery prayers that anyone wishes to do, not just during Diwali, during regular times of the year, whatever candles and incense sticks and other products one uses for prayers, if they have an air element, a fire element to it, that will end up in impacting the air pollution. Please be mindful of what you're using and see again if you can reduce the use of whatever products you choose to use. And observe your own health, and that is the way to figure out, as part of Ascension, what things are impacting your physical health, and what products when used are impacting your physical, mental, emotional health. Because all of these things do impact physical, mental and emotional health in different ways, because our body is a joint body. So initially it starts with physical health, but eventually other aspects of our health also get impacted over time. And finally, have a very happy Diwali and a responsible Diwali and a fun Diwali. And the true spirit of Diwali or praying to any god is about health, wealth and humanity. It's less and how we coexist with each other. So I hope these things can be brought into our lives more than the ritual practices that we used to enjoy when we were kids, or that we have enjoyed for decades of our lives. It is hard to let go of old things that we enjoy, but it is not that difficult if we slowly start weaning ourselves away from things and start replacing them with things that can bring us true joy, true happiness, through abundance and wealth in our lives. Okay, take care, bye.